That's okay. Sarah's going to help us. That's what she's doing right now. Go ahead and speak again into your mic. Nope, just speak into it. It's Joel's. It's Joel's. Try it again. There we go. There we go. Good morning, everyone. We still have a couple of minutes and people are trickling in. So, in 2 minutes, we will get started with our parables conversation with John Gardenhire. Welcome, John. We're glad you're here. I want to say thank you to Sarah and Isaac and Grayson for keeping us connected with our technology, keep us connected online. It's okay, I got it. Do you want your hat? Okay. Stuart is on vacation, well-deserved vacation, and he has the best team ever. He's put together such a good tech team, so they get us connected and keep us working. I'm grateful for that. Let's see. Hey, Leslie Templeton. Leslie. It's okay. She's through the threshold. She might not hear me. I'm just wondering if you all can shut the doors. Thank you so much. Okay. Well, welcome once again to Parables. I'm really excited to be having a conversation with John Gardenhire. And so we want to start off with saying Happy Father's Day. John, I've heard you say more than once that you are so thrilled to be a dad because your kids take good care of you. Tell us about what it's like to be a father.
In my case, I have a girl born first and a boy second. And until they were late teens, they fought like all kids do that age. But they were normally good kids because I think they figured out their mother's illness before I did. And so that helped. I'll get into that later. Love my kids. One lives here. They can be a little bit bossy, as we know. We turn into the kids when they're the adults. That's okay. And mine have always made sure I was in good shape and kept me from getting into too much trouble. And I grew up in a town of Temple, Texas. It's south of Waco, about 36 miles. It was definitely the heart of Texas. They love to call themselves. I was an only child. My mother was on duty, which she had to be. And I was 3 months old. So they immediately called in the priest. They didn't think I was going to make it. I weighed less than 3 pounds.
Oh, my.
And it's kind of funny, really. And my mother was a nurse on duty in the emergency room. And there was not a doctor within, she said, 8 to 10 miles. Get to that, but she had an old nurse friend that delivered me. And then when I wasn't breathing, she turned me over and hit my butt real hard. I started crying, so she knew I was going to be all right.
Wow.
And the reason I probably lived is because Miami-Dade County was at sea level.
Mm.
or 1999.
Okay. So you were born premature. That's scary. In this day and age, it's scary when a child is born premature. I was born premature, and it was scarier in 1979, and I would imagine that it was scarier for your parents as well, John, to not have the medical attention available. So I'm very, very glad that you shared that with us, and we're glad that you made it, of course. And so, talk about your childhood in Temple. Did you grow up in church?
I went to church, but my parents didn't.
Okay.
I think a lot of us. My mom and dad were both in World War II. My mom was a flight nurse, and my dad was in the second return to Manila. With the MacArthur. And I never heard my dad say too much about the war, but he did say when MacArthur died, he says, "That's one guy I'm glad's gone." He did. And he said most GIs felt that way. You know, that I shall return, like he did it all by himself. So, and I was an only child, so, I was spoiled. Everybody told me I was spoiled. And I'm sure I was some. My parents made me do things like the yard and help clean the house. My mother worked day shift, my dad worked swing shift. And so, no, my mother most of the time she worked swing shift, and my dad was home in the evening. That's how it was. They were both nurses, and my dad worked in the mental ward, VA hospital, and my mother worked on the medical ward. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, you're doing great. And so they served in the military, both of them.
Yeah.
You also served in the military. Is there a connection there? Were you proud of them for the service that they had offered?
Yeah, I was proud of them, my dad especially, my stepdad, But my mom, yeah, she was a lieutenant and married an enlisted guy. So you know how that went back in those days. She got kicked out of the service, and so she was quite bitter about that. But
Why did you want to join, or why did you choose to join?
I always wanted to join the Air Force, and really, God had to be watching over me. My glasses, I don't think they make them as thick as they are. Mine were like Coke bottles when I was a kid, and I was amazed they let me in, and I think it was my scores on my military application is the reason they let me into the Air Force. And I stayed 4 years. I was an aircraft mechanic those 4. 1 year I got stuck loading bombs, so instead of being an aircraft mechanic. That was a scary job, and I was in Japan, and we were shipping munitions to Vietnam from Japan. And that was quite interesting. One day we were going down the road, and I was driving, and all of a sudden I look over at the side of me, and there's a 3,000-pound bomb running down the road, and almost in front of me.
Oh.
And so I zoomed up and got in front of it and just slowly stopped it. Because those bombs were built for World War II. They weren't built for Vietnam. And they would easily explode if you weren't careful. And so
Wow.
that was one of my quite harrowing experiences in Japan.
Yeah.
I loved most of the time I was in Japan. I wish I could have had my wife over there. But it was just for 12 months. So I got to fly home after 6 months. She says, "What are you doing here?" I says, "I come home to see you." And my
Yeah.
But when I came back in '66, I was in for another year over here in Cannon Air Force Patch, and I got out. Well, I realized 4 years later, I didn't like civilian life. I liked the military life better. And I had a neighbor that was a recruiter for the Air Force. And I said, can you get me back into service? He said, let's look at your record. He said, yeah, but you'll never get back in your old career field. I said, okay. So I wound up the next 18 years, 18 or 19 years in radar. And I didn't like radar at first. I thought I'd been hosed and would have been better off as a mechanic. But when it come time to retire, I realized how much easier it was for me to find a job in electronics than it was in. So I was stationed in places like Naples, Italy, and Colorado Springs was the main military in the state. And like I said, I loved to move around. My wife said every 4 years she could tell when I was getting in and it was time to move.
So you were in for 4, out for 4, back in for 18 or 19.
Yeah.
And then after that 18 or 19, you found jobs in electronics, you said? Tell us a little more about that.
Scope. In radar, I got an associate's degree in radar, and I got a degree in technical management and another degree in just general studies. So while I was in there, and I wish there was kids in here, but there's not, to tell them, don't always listen to those guys that are supposed to help you with your degrees. If somebody, I was told I'd never get a degree. And at North Texas State, so I went back in the Air Force. That's when I went back in the Air Force. And I got 3 degrees while I was in the Air Force. So, you know, you just don't let these kids get too influenced by people telling them they can't do something. Because you can do it if you make up your mind.
That's right. That's good. I want to talk a little bit about your connection with Morningstar, but before we do, you've mentioned a couple times your wife, and you've mentioned her illness, and you are very transparent and open about this. Is there anything you would like to share with the group?
My wife was bipolar. It took us 10 years to find that out. They were always misjudging her, misdiagnosing her, giving her medicines that, well, in the long run, killed her. Her body. I was in the town of Las Cruces, New Mexico, and I put her in the hospital there, and then they took her and flew her on a helicopter to the University of New Mexico hospital, and I wish I'd have known about that place before then, because I think they could have saved her. But by the time they got her, her body had gone septic, and she died. No, she died Thanksgiving weekend. Yeah, it always makes me love Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that's a tragic part of your story. But
The last 20 years, we were married 47 years.
Wow.
The last 20 years, up and down.
Yeah.
I come home after 3 or 4 weeks. She was normal, and then the next week, I'd have to put her in the hospital.
But you,
Literally, sometimes I pick her up.
John, you've become an advocate. We've had many conversations with each other and through men's Bible study, an advocate for caring people who are struggling with mental health. Do you have a word to say about that?
The new medicines they're getting, and all of a sudden, everybody realizes a lot of these kids that are killing people because they're mentally ill. And it's not going to get any better until people are
Well, mental health is health, right? We all have to take care of our mental health, and some of us have more struggles than others in that area. And I've always appreciated how supportive you have been of people who are in need of mental health care. And that's a really important thing for John, and I think it's one of your core messages that you share. So is there anything you would like to share about Morning Star? Like what brought you here?
Well, my wife was alive the first time I was here, but only Travis.
Could you hold the mic up for our friends online?
Sorry.
It's okay.
Only Travis and Betty Joyner, is that her name?
Betty Janner? Betty Janner?
Yeah, she remembered my wife. But they're the only two I think remembered my wife. One or two times we were able to come here. We lived in an RV, so we traveled a lot at the time. So, yeah, she died 12 years ago now.
Yeah. So you've been a part of Morning Star for at least 12 years.
Yeah, at least 10.
Okay. Okay. And you serve in the choir.
I tried to at times. Sometimes people like different the choir.
Well, you're singing in the choir now. What do you love about it?
Actually, I think I love working with Leslie as much as anything else. I give her a hard time and she gets it right back in.
That's
I love that.
Leslie Templeton is lovely. We are really fortunate to have her. Yes, thank you, Leslie. Yeah.
But sometimes I've lectured in love.
Mhm.
Looked at me and said,
She takes care of you.
I've lectured her.
Yeah. So what would you say to someone who is considering joining the choir?
Please do. I'm tired of being the only guy up there.
You have some help occasionally. Well, the invitation is open to join the choir, of course. You're also really involved in a men's Bible study and in a growth group. Why is that so important to you? You're very faithful in those groups. Are you in a small group?
Yeah.
Yeah,
small group.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. We have a good time. I really enjoy it. Can y'all hear my beeper beeping?
Okay. So you come to men's Bible study every time you are able. What do you enjoy about that fellowship besides the coffee? I know you enjoy the coffee.
Not as much as I do. Listen to what other men and other ladies tell me about what's in the Bible.
Yeah.
And a lot of times,
Yeah.
and I think women's Bible studies or men's either one, or if there's one that's a combination, mixed, go to it.
Yes.
It's so worth it. Even if you do have to get up at 7 Monday morning.
We have good time at men's Bible study. Yeah. And
It's a good laugh.
well, I appreciate the questions that you ask. You always have really great questions about the text, and that curiosity is really important as well. So you can jump wherever you would like to go.
The best thing about Morning Star, frankly, is I feel comfortable here. And I mean, I do. The sad part is the split church. I don't know hardly any of the people from 8:30 or 9:30 church.
Oh yeah, the two worship services can make it difficult.
Yeah,
Sure.
I know.
Yeah.
I pretty well know everybody else here.
So that is one thing that parables can do for us. We can meet people across services. The potluck that we are having on Wednesday is another opportunity. And as we serve together, that's an opportunity for us to meet across service lines as well. But it does take some effort. So I appreciate you bringing that up. So I want to make sure that people have a chance to ask you questions too. John, what did we not talk about that you really wanted to talk about? Did you have something on your mind?
I've talked about most of the things that I'm interested in, like mental health, and I promise
Yeah.
It's hard, and it takes a lot of review. I probably built University of Utah's factory, the money that the government gave because of my wife. And but I'm glad it happened that way, and I know my wife is in a better place now.
Mm.
You know, when somebody dies, I know my son was with me when my wife died. And I said, Mike, it's hard as hell, ain't it? But isn't it good that we're Christians?
Mm-hmm.
Because we know where our family goes when they die.
It's beautiful, John. Thank you. What questions or comments do you have for John today? I know you're interested in learning more. Dale. She's asking about his other interests.
Since I've fallen and broken this right shoulder twice in the last 6 months, and another thing, I used to bowl a lot. There's no bowling alley here now, and maybe someday there will be. I like to read, and I like mystery books and sci-fi, and I spend a lot of. I've read 300 and some books on. Huh?
On what?
Audible.
Oh, an Audible. Yes, Audible. I'm a big fan of Audible.
Money on Audible because I think it's so worth it. Because the older you get, the harder it is on your eyes to read. So I highly recommend it. If you like reading and having trouble, go to Audible. It's a little expensive, but it's well worth it. And I'm not making any money saying that.
He's not an official spokesperson for Audible. Well, and the more books you listen to, the cheaper it gets, right? Because you have the credits that you can build up. So that's really great. And so Dale mentioned your dogs. Tell us about your dogs.
I got 2 dogs now. Since I was 6 years old, I've never had a dog. And even over in Italy, I brought a dog back with me. That was expensive for us in those days to bring a dog back. But I have a shirt that I wear a lot. It says, God gave us dogs for us to walk, so we'll never have anybody to walk alone. And I think Eileen gave me that shirt because she knew how much I love dogs. And I still do. I'm one of these guys, I'll cry like a baby. Turn around within 6 months.
Yeah.
Just the way I am.
Yeah, many of us are understanding of that, John. And so you've recently moved as well, fairly recently. You're in assisted living now.
I'm assisted living because I was falling.
Yeah.
And I couldn't argue with my kids with that because you can see there's a nice little scar right there. And it's all healed up pretty good. But Solstice, it's okay. I don't think you're going to find any of these places that are perfect.
Yeah.
But Northrise is good. I know Father John was Northrise. He tried to get me to move there, but I'd already made promises to Solstice. And I'd say 70% of the time the food is good.
But you've talked about that transition as being positive for you. Like maybe you didn't even know how much you needed to make that change.
Right. I didn't really know. I know it's taken a big worry off my kids.
Mm-hmm.
Worrying about me. And I did. I must have fell 4 times before the last year I lived.
Yeah.
And that's just, and unfortunately, I'd say a third of the people in Sulphur have the same issue.
Yeah.
So at our age, and I see most of you are up there with me here, our age, start calling, do something about it.
Yeah.
If you don't, you won't be around very long.
Wow. Thank you. Any last comments or questions? Any final words from you, John? Last words of wisdom.
Mental illness cannot be cured.
Mm.
It is not a sickness that's going to come and go away. Mental illness has to be taken care of constantly.
Yeah.
And if you get somebody well, always know that this illness can come back.
Yeah.
I see somebody back there, back smiling. All right. God bless you.
Oh, it really is a beautiful word, John. Thank you for your care of people who are struggling with mental health issues. That's really important, and I love that you keep that in front of us. Thank you so much for your time. Can we thank John for his time? Thank you so much. So Parables will continue next week. If any of you would like to share your story, let me know, and we'll get you on the schedule. We'll start church at 10:15. No, 11:15. 11:15. We're not going to go back in time. We're not going to go back in time. All right.